really late, and some of our speakers again have to take off at the top of the hour. So in the next panel, we are going to have Yaovi from ICANN, who is going to moderate the panel. May I invite Joe from KeNIC or any speaker from KeNIC? We are going to do a national showcase. I think I have Marta. Marta, are you online already?
I am. Hello.
Thank you very much. You will introduce yourself. And we have a representative from Benin DNS Forum. I'll request that we keep our presentations very brief. Of course, questions were asked about what has been happening in the last 10 years. And of course, we have had a lot of developments such as national DNS fora initiatives, which are offshoots of this continental initiative. And yesterday we had interesting sessions on the Kenya DNS Forum, and Joe will walk us through the journey. We also have an association for Portuguese-speaking CCTLDs. They will be represented by Marta, who is intervening remotely. I'll request, once we are done with the panels or your sessions, the questions that we were not able to take and the interventions, I'll open up the floor afterwards, just for 5 or 10 minutes so that we can address them. Over to you, Yaovi.
Thank you so much. My name is Yaovi, Atohoun, Director of Stakeholder Engagement Operation for ICANN. I want to mention that we have only 30 minutes left to close the session. So with your permission, I want to give only maybe 7 minutes to the online presenters, because my point is that if you are doing a hybrid event, we should give priority to people who have been waiting to speak and to participate. So we will not go over 4 p.m. today. And my apologies. And we are lucky that the other panelists are with us here. So even if they are not able to talk today, we can have opportunity for them to present tomorrow. So with this, I'm not going to do more introduction. During the opening yesterday, we talked about 10 years of the Africa DNS Forum. And after some years, we had initiative from countries at the national level. So the two presenters, one will be presenting the national case of Benin Republic, and the second presenter will talk about the Portuguese speaking country CCTLD. So with this, I will want to invite the speaker, Hervé Mouzandi, talking remotely, if he's connected. So Hervé, I want to let you present. You can take your headset. I think Hervé is going to speak French, and Hervé will have a maximum 7 minutes to share the key lessons with us. So Hervé Mouzandi, introduce yourself and over to you. Thank you so much.
Allô, vous m'entendez?
Oui, Hervé, tu peux partager ton écran aussi.
Non, je suis sur...
You'll be speaking, yes. You can share your screen if you wish. I'll be speaking. I cannot do it myself. Can you do it?
So Magali, I don't know if you can do it from your end, if you can be promoted, and then you can share the slide from Hervé. So he wants to share with us the experience of the National DNS Forum in Benin. As the Barak said this morning, they are having it differently over many days with different activities. So I will try to summarize this in now 5 minutes. I'm very concerned about the time.
OK. Merci beaucoup. Je vais aller vite. Donc,
S'il vous plaît, allez doucement aussi pour le service d'interprétation.
Yaovi
D'accord.
speaking. Remember to speak at a reasonable rate for the interpretation purposes.
Merci de m'avoir donné la parole.
Hervé speaking. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for giving me the floor.
Formateur principal
My name is Hervé Ouzanji. I am the main trainer at an activity which we call the Women DNS Academy.
du Benin DNS Forum. Donc, je vais vous présenter
I coordinated the Benin DNS Forum several times. I will now present what the forum is to you and how it works.
Voilà, en fait, je voudrais vous dire
So,
pourquoi le Benin DNS Forum existe.
I will
Nous avons
explain to
constaté
you
que
why
il y a une
the
expansion de l'Internet.
Benin DNS Forum exists. There is an expansion of the internet, which is great. And there is also an explosion of the number of users. And these are all very positive trends. So for us, the internet has become a precious good, common to all, which is also a very good thing. So what is the result of all of this? We are going to try to figure out what is the fundamental, essential component of the internet. And the answer is the DNS. So the next question is, how can we preserve it? So we decided to raise awareness, to explain, and to train. And this is how we came to the idea of creating this group that we called the Benin DNS Forum, that we have every year. So this is to explain the context and how we decided to put it together. So who organizes the Benin DNS Forum? It is not just one association. There are several organizations involved. Most of them are non-profit. They are all based in Benin, and they basically collaborate in order to create the event. So here you have a few of them. They are, some are old, some are new. You have IBGONet, you have FGI Benin, you have Fantic, you have the latest one to come with us is the Benin DNS Women. Next slide, please. So what happens during the Benin DNS Forum? We have several activities. We have the public forum, we have Internet City, we have a seminar, we have a DNS-a-thon, and we have the WDA activity. I will explain these quickly because we don't have much time. Next slide. So the Women DNS Academy, what is it exactly? We thought that in the case of Benin, we are lacking technical skills. We can't target everyone, so let's target gender. So the Women DNS Academy is a training of about 20 women each year on the operation and the implementation of DNS servers and on the domain name economy. And then we have the WDA and networking, which gathers the alumni of WDA. And what we end up doing is an evening, a gala evening between all of the women, the ones who have followed the training and the ones who are following the current training in order to promote networking. And then we have the DNS hackathon. It's basically a collaborative hackathon on DNS. It gathers about 60 participants from different backgrounds over about 2 days, over 2 days. So we start on Thursday morning and we end on Friday evening. The idea is to demystify the DNS and to enable young students or young engineers to better understand the system and to gather practical skills in order to manage it. So what we do often is that we set up a prototype of DNS infrastructure from the root to the end. And then we have another activity that we call a seminar. It is a multi-stakeholder meeting over one day. The goal is to raise awareness, to share recommendations and good technical practices and good organizational practices in terms of DNS and in terms of expanding the .bg to ensure the development of the ecosystem at the global level. Next slide. And then we also have another activity that we call Internet City. Internet City, basically, it's an exhibition floor that we propose for entrepreneurs and digital startup companies in order to give them better visibility, especially with local actors to promote their innovations, products, services, and solutions, all of this having to do with the internet technologies. And then we have the public forum. The public forum is basically similar to this. It's in a large room in a hotel with several participants, at least 150 to 300 participants. And the idea is to communicate, to carry out tutorials, workshops on topics that involve all of the actors of the country on different reflections having to do with the internet in Benin. And at the very end, so all that I have just explained happens each time that the forum occurs. And then we have the DNS quiz. It's a time of fun and learning with the participants to the public forum. So at the very end, before closing, we have a DNS quiz. And the quiz is basically a question on the DNS and on the exchanges and communications that happen during the public forum. And we give awards as well as our partners and sponsors. And at the very end, we have what we call the studies. We don't always do that, but during some of our meetings, depending on the means or the topic, we might carry out a study over 6 months. And during the forum, we give a report on that study. And at the end, we publish a report. The last study that we carried out is the initiation, and we published a report on the quality of DNS service and of the BJ domain name. Next slide. In terms of outcome, just quickly, we had 7 forums already, and the 8th will be done November 8th through 12th. We trained over 150 women. In terms of the participants in the room and remotely, we had more than 3,000 people participate. And the work that we do was recognized at the global level by these prizes. We were finalists. We had a prize as well, Wesi's prize. And I think it's a great testament to what we do. We also have plans. We hope that we can reach these goals. We would like to train more women. Why? Because during each WDA, we call for candidates. And typically, we only select 20 women, but we typically have 100 candidates. So if we had more means, we could train more women, because the women that we do recruit are fellows. They are sponsored. They don't pay anything. So our sponsors help host them. Sometimes they live away from the city, from Cotonou. And so our sponsors help pay for their meals and so forth. And we also have as a goal to help other countries who might want to carry out this type of activity. We would like to also diversify our partners and sponsors. We were helped by ICANN, by ISAC, by the Francophonie, by AFNIC, and by others. But we don't want to stop here. Since you are present in the room, you are hearing me. So if you would like to help us, we would love to speak with you about that. We would like to also put together the Africa Women DNS Academy. over 2 years, what we would like to do is to go into other African countries in order to strengthen, build capacity of women in the area of the DNS. And then at the very end, what we would like to do is to be self-funded on all of these activities without needing sponsors and partners. So I tried to go really fast. Yaovi, you gave me 5 minutes, but thank you very much for listening. This is the experience in Benin.
Sorry, we could not do better, and we appreciate you are able to the presentation. I have questions, but me too, I cannot ask questions because of time constraints. So I want to inform participants remotely, please put your questions in the chat room, and then we will try to convey the questions to the various speakers, and we can get back to you by chat or by tomorrow, or when needed, we can get back to you. We thank you again, Hervé, for your presentation. And then the key message is that you are not doing a one-day event, you are doing it like over a week and with various activities. We are now going to hear from Martha, also presenting remotely the experience about many TLDs organizing this jointly. So Martha, if you are hearing us, over to you. Thank you.
Hello. Do you hear me? Are you okay with the sound?
Clearly, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So thank you so much for having me here today. I would like also to congratulate the organization for this incredible forum. Let me start by saying what LUSNIC is. So LUSNIC stands for lose like lusophone, and the NIC that all of you know, the National Identification Code. So I'm here today to speak to you briefly about this association, LUSNIC. Well, this association was set up back in September 2015 in Lisbon, and we had this idea of bringing together all the countries who were Portuguese language countries represented here by the respective CCTLDs. So we set up this association, and this set of countries were represented, and it was very difficult to bring us all together, but we did it. And Brazil, Cape Verde, Guinea, Portugal, São Tomé, and Angola, we did it formally in Lisbon. And the idea was, I'm sorry, I'm having problems. Okay. The idea was to create a private law association with the main goals focused on the promotion of the Portuguese language across the world. Well, the CCTLDs who were represented had different models of governance, like São Tomé, Guinea, Cape Verde were and are run by the National Regulatory Authority. Portugal.pt and Brazil.br are run by a not-for-profit association, and we do have in common the fact that we are organizations based in the multi-stakeholder model. And then we have Angola with the which is run by the national government. So as I told you, the idea of put this association working was having the Portuguese language has the anchor. We usually use this expression of the Portuguese language as the anchor. So what is the rationale behind this association? Why did we set up the organization? We do have this in common, our language. The Portuguese language is the anchor of this association. It is like a common ground that these registries have, if we look, the Portuguese language is outside on the middle of the ranking of the 20 most used language across the world and on the internet in particular. So this is a real asset that with more than 280 million representatives. So we thought that we could have here something in common that would be a common ground to work together. So in terms of mission, these are our goals, our mission, our bylaws that you can check if you have some curiosity on that. You can check it online at www.lusnic.org. Are particularly clear. So we want to collaborate in the defense of the internet and in the defense of the use of the Portuguese language across the world. So we want, of course, to encourage the use of the Portuguese language and to cooperate and to share good practices, training, and of course, to promote the development of common policies and try to disseminate them. So in short here, we do have a purpose based on collaboration principles. The idea is and still is to come together on the common platform, and the platform, of course, is the Portuguese language. So the problem is that the association was set up back in the 2015, as I told you previously, but we still have some pressure points. I can say that it's quite easy to identify the 5 pressure points that we have in the functioning of this association, as we would love to have it. Well, in fact, we are located in 4 different continents. So we have this physical geographic distance, and there is, well, a well-known gap in terms of access of and use of the internet among all the LUSNIC stakeholders. And the fact that each registry involved has these entire different economic, social, technological context also justifies that we do have different strategies, different ways to run and to manage our CCTLDs back at home. So then we had a global problem, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the fact that we have some political instability in some countries who are our stakeholders. So all of these creates some communication problems, so some engagement problems. And since the beginning, the engagement and the communication was for us identified as very key, I would say key in order to put this association functioning. So for me, if you ask me to underline the most pressing points here in the function of the association outside the communication and the engagement problem. So I may have sound here like pessimists in my analysis, but I think that also the fact that we identified these pressure points is important to reinforce the importance of working together on this purpose of echoing outside the Portuguese language online. I would like to have this opportunity as well to appeal to the countries who have the Portuguese language as an official language. I believe that some of the countries are here represented in this forum to come to us, to join our community and to be active with us. So our idea, our major goal, I would say, it's to be a facilitator, to create connections, to get people talking, sharing ideas and solving problems. That's why we did all these efforts. That's why we even with all the difficulties, we've been trying to work together and to have this opportunity to come up and to bring new ideas and have training sessions, sharing newsletters, sharing best practice and so on. So we are here to help, and we are open to everybody that want to come to us and work with us. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I hope to be able to talk to you again and to see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Martha. Thank you very much, because you are expecting to have 15 minutes to better explain, but you find a way to pass the message that is very good for us. And what is also good is that the organizers are able to provide interpretation in Portuguese. So maybe some of your members who are not attending today, you can still pass the message that the organizers of this event, they have provided interpretation into Portuguese, so they can participate the remaining time today and tomorrow in this Africa DNS Forum. And also all the regional events we are organizing in ICANN, especially in Africa, we are trying also to have Portuguese interpretation available. If you can stay for the next 15 minutes, maybe we'll have time for maybe one question you can answer. So I think also, despite the time constraint, it would not be fair to hear from my colleagues who are here. And then we hear from a Benin DNS Forum. I think it was the first national experience. And then also the Portuguese countries. And now I want to pass the microphone to my colleague from ZADNA, so that in 3 minutes, he said that he will try in 3 minutes to share also the experience of this event in his country. So thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I guess I'm not going to introduce myself. Thank you, Chair. 3 minutes is a tall order, but I'll try my best. So I took a different or a different approach to how I'm going to bring together a presentation. But in the main, I'm going to focus on activities that we have achieved. No, it's fine. In 3 minutes, it's going to be quite difficult. So as I was saying, we from ZADNA side, we have an ambition to contribute economically to a prosperous and empowered communities. Of course, while we enable regulation to happen, and of course, providing a secure and vibrant domain name space. That's quite a loaded impact statement that we have, but it's quite an ambitious one. And in it, you can already see that by form, we are a regulator, or by creation, we are a regulator. However, our regulation is quite unique to vis-a-vis many other regulators, because we have members who constitute us as an organization, meaning that in one form or the other in our DNA, we have a multi-stakeholderism principle embedded in us. So with that context, how are we going to achieve this? Sticking to the time, I'll just cite a number of activities that we have embarked on, or we are going to embark on. Firstly, to keep our stakeholders engaged. We have quite a sizable number of non-commercial second-level domains. Those are the ones for academics, schools, citizenry within the country, and so forth. So for those, we want to set up a non-commercial SLD forum. The reason behind it is because their needs are quite different, meaning that the administrators that have been delegated those SLDs have to meet on a periodic time and also try to guide us as a regulator as to how best can we regulate them. I think that's quite unique for us, and it's a journey that we are looking forward to. And then, of course, we try to profile them from a regulator perspective to ensure that they are a trusted SLD administrator by marketing themselves. We're not expecting them to have marketing capabilities, but we will be providing those. One other thing, while we are still talking about non-commercial, with the new arrangement with ZAC, as introduced this morning, we would be cross-subsidizing from the commercial side into the non-commercial side. The importance of that is that once you have built enough critical mass on the non-commercial side, you are able to transition and move those into the commercial space, thus creating a sustainable pipeline of new entrants into your space. Then, of course, it goes without saying, we are looking forward to member-driven engagements. We are trying our best to bring up or improve on the engagements with our members and also our immediate stakeholders, which is the registry, registrars, and the registrants. While we are saying that, in the same breath, we have initiated, I've made it clear to those that I report to, my accounting or my executive authority, which is the department that I report to, that I would like to reach out to my regional counterparts, CCTLD managers, to see how best can we share knowledge, speaking to the point that I was asked around collaboration, because there is so much that we can share and there's so much that we can learn from other colleagues. Now, moving towards the second last point, talking about secure and regulated, we are going through a process of promulgating regulatory instruments. I believe there was a question in the room from a colleague from Zimbabwe talking about why collect IDs. I think as a developing state, we are prone to abuse and people take advantage of our righteousness as states, and we need to protect ourselves. You remember a CCTLD or CCTLD as you see it, that is your digital presence. So if your digital presence is tainted, you might as well forget about any other credibility that you might have. I won't cite names, but I believe there are those states that have given away their CCTLDs for free and they have suffered the consequences. I promise I wrap up, Chair, my apologies. And then of course we are engaged in internal research and hopefully we will be conducting member-led research where they write thought leadership articles, which we will publish as a regulator. And then of course, I think I'll skip some of the points that are there. I'll share them with the colleagues if they need it. However, the most important one for me is empowered communities. How do we ensure empowered communities? Currently, we have a sectoral educational training authority, which is MIC CETA, where we are currently undergoing accreditation of a formal DNS practitioner course. In the same breath with my counterparts from ZAC or ZACR, they were training 15 young people to become DNS practitioners. We also conducted a short course of 30 beneficiaries. Why is that important? Is to ensure that the pipeline, because we've realized the skill sets, they sit with quite an age grouping of individuals. We have to ensure that there's that transition and there's that sustainability of the space. Of course, it goes without saying in lowering barriers of entry into the space, which is something that maybe we neglected to cite. Over and above skill sets, you need infrastructure. Talking to an emerging SMME about infrastructure is quite a difficult conversation. So the best option we are looking towards is already existing innovation hubs, digital hubs, to see if they can house at a nominal fee supported by government to say, what is it that you can offer these emerging SMMEs to participate effectively within our space? Then, of course, one other collaboration we have partnered with 2 universities in the country, where we have set up 2 research chairs. One research chair focusing on internet governance matters, one research chair focusing on DNS, purely DNS, technical side of things. And what's quite unique about this, both research chairs, they have 10 students. I think it is around about 6 master students and 4 PhD students. Hopefully the research that will come out of there will be actionable and we'll be able to share it with the colleagues inside the room. And of course, practice whatever that we have researched on. And of course, in closing, Chair, one of the serious issues that we are trying to deal with is how do we bring our content closer to our citizenry, considering that we have a number of native languages. So we would be translating some of the content we have into native languages in the country, so that at least we take those that we are supposed to protect along. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Molehe. And it is very informative what you share with us. So it is for, but I have a good news for you. I was chatting with the technical team and the interpreters. I told them that I'm moderator for this session, but there is a more important, also a key important session happening. So if I stop the session at 4, I may not be a participant in the next session. So it's the good news for me, they saved me. So instead of 3 minutes, the next speaker will have 4 minutes to share the experience of KeNIC, because we had the first edition and the second edition yesterday. And then my question while we are trying to talk in the 4 minutes, from the first edition and the second one, what was the difference and what is the plan for the next edition, so that people who didn't start organizing the event, they have to learn from what you are doing. So you have 4 minutes. Thank you.
Good Chair. I'll try and do justice to your 4 minutes. I'll start by answering your question, which is to the next slide. So there are a couple of activities that we've done. As you said, we had 2 DNS forums, the Africa DNS, one in 2015, one in 2022. And then we've had 3 Kenya DNS forums in 2015, 2021, 2022. You'll notice that 2015 was in collaboration again with Africa DNS at the same time. And the learning, especially from the Kenya DNS from 2015 to 2021, 2022 was the fact that, if you noticed, for those of you who were in the Kenya DNS yesterday, we did not go too technical in terms of conversations, because we also realized that there's an ecosystem that doesn't understand that we use in terms of the DNS system. So we try to make it lighter in terms of looking at topical issues, cybersecurity, what are the changing landscape issues. So as someone is trying to plan a DNS forum, also look at the audience that you're inviting. How do you want them to engage? What do you want them to leave the room with at the end of the day in terms of value? You don't want some people to feel that I did not understand what that group of people was discussing. So that would be an advice I would give to anyone who is organizing a DNS forum. The other showcase that we've had is in 2017, we launched our 2nd level domain, which is now the .ke. Before we were only giving 3rd level extensions, but in 2017, then we launched the 2nd level, which is what we call our more premium domain name. And we are seeing traction on that. Something that is maybe unique to a few countries in Africa is doing auctions. So for Kenya, we have reserved names which we've put aside. And from time to time, we will create an auction. So in 2018, we did the auction, but the most successful one was in 2021, where we were able to auction about 300 names at premium rates. So for those ones, a domain name was going for about $1,000 or more, but those were more premium domains. So if a country is thinking of doing an auction, we have, I saw Igor walk out the room from AfRegister. Part of collaboration is we look for platforms from our partners. We've not created an internal platform. There are people in this ecosystem who can create for you a platform for you to auction some of those premium domains that you have. So that's something that we would recommend. If there are names that people are looking for, maybe it's time to make a bit more money from them. We've done a bit of benchmarking during our history. We've gotten guests from Tanzania, from Togo, from Ivory Coast, Senegal. The biggest for us was .ss, Southern Sudan, who we happened to host in Kenya for 5 years. So they rode on our infrastructure for 5 years as they were setting up their office, they were setting up their own infrastructure. And last year, we were able to hand over everything to them. And now .ss is fully independent in Southern Sudan, and they're running their own registry. And they only come back to us from a technical perspective in terms of advice from time to time. So again, this just shows that within the continent, we have the possibility of helping each other. We don't need to go outside the continent. There is opportunity for you to host, to get resources from other people. For us in Kenya, as I mentioned in my earlier panel, we work closely with the authority to ensure that we are part of the national ICT conversation. So KeNIC is a key stakeholder in all those conversations, ensuring that when policy is being formed, the domain name system in terms of policy is catered for. Yesterday, for those who are here, there was a national cybersecurity strategy that was presented. KeNIC was a key player in that national cybersecurity strategy because it's key for our country. How are we looking at our cybersecurity aspects, the hygiene, all those. So KeNIC was invited to be part of that to ensure that also the domain space is playing a key role in terms of cybersecurity in the country. Chair, I think I've spent 2 minutes, so I give you back 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that anyway, you say that the next session, I'll be part of this session. Thank you so much. So if we have a question for Martha, so I'll give the opportunity. If in the room we have a question for Martha, she's able to respond. If not, I want to respond to one of the questions from the chat. The participant were asking for the presentation. So the organizers are doing the best so that you have the presentations and the record also available on the website. So now I can open the floor to take just one question because Barak has some announcement for us. So if there is a burning question in the room, please raise your hand and we can give you the opportunity to answer this question. We can take two questions because I'm protected. So we can take two questions. So, but we have just 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yes. Yes. So 30 seconds per question. 30 seconds per question. We take all the questions. 30 seconds per question. Please. Go ahead. And then we have one for that. And Alain, the last one, 30 seconds per question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, this has been a burning question from the previous session. We have 55 million Kenyans in this country. We have 3 million registered companies. However, from KeNIC's records, we only have 100,000 domain names. So my question is, if we target and manage to reach the 55 million Kenyans, so what next? Does the business model change? And if so, which direction? Thank you.
Thank you. KeNIC will respond. The second question there. Okay, 30 seconds, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to ask, how does KeNIC reward, if there is a reward system for registrars, but performance over the monthly or yearly, if there's a reward system and how it's being done in KeNIC, and also if there is something like that too in South Africa. So we'd like to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alain, go ahead. No? Okay. Thank you. Alain want to give us the 30 seconds back. Thank you so much. So we let KeNIC and ZADNA respond to the question before we close. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll answer the easier one first. We do recognize our registrars every year. So we have a registrar award system where we look at who has registered the highest domains, who has done the best in terms of retention, customer satisfaction, who has come up with an innovative way of finding new registrars. So we have an event, a yearly event, where we recognize our registrars. And that's a big event because then the registrars own that event. They recognize their peers, they learn from their peers on that day, and ensuring that they're learning on how to grow their business. So yes, there's an event that we hold on a yearly basis. The second one was around if we got the 55 million Kenyans in the business, I can retire. But that is just the first bit. As you all know, registration is just one bit. The biggest problem is retention. So the business will always have a role to play in terms of retaining those. But if we get those 55 million people, I'm sure first I'll get a presidential award, that's for sure. But we must make sure that those are being used as often as possible. So the business will not change. It will be more on retention, which is our biggest headache today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. In terms of recognition, from a ZADNA side, we don't have any formal recognition of ARAs. However, it's the plan that we have for the 2023 ZADNS forum to hold a special event and run it over 3 days actually, where we have a dedicated RA day, and then the subsequent 2 days, that's when we hold our talk shops. If I may steal the 30 seconds and assist my colleague from KE, the issue of providing domain names to all of your citizens is quite an expensive exercise. The question as states we should be asking ourselves, is it something that is worth it? Or should we rather not invest in a platform that aggregates, our end users? And I'm saying this from a perspective that we have a lot of the poorest of the poor in the world who can't afford a domain name and even sustain it. So I'll leave it at that question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this point, we hand over to Barak, and we want to thank you all for your active participation, especially those who are following remotely. Again, our apologies because we are not able to give enough time for interaction. So thank you so much. Barak, over to you for announcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Yaovi, and thank you everyone for staying tuned throughout this afternoon session. We are concluding the session, though I know that there's plenty in the room that we would have discussed. We have our colleague Jasper from Zimbabwe. I think he hasn't had an opportunity, but hopefully tomorrow we'll see if he will do remote. But some quick announcements. There will be a dinner or the Africa DNS Forum 10th anniversary dinner from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. At 254 or Lesereni. 254 is the old portion of the hotel on the ground floor. So I would wish to request you that around 6:30, you make your way around there. You may ask what you'll be doing between now and then. I'm not sure if the animals have moved closer to the fence on this side, but you can spend some time on the other side of the hotel or on the rooftop if the restaurant or bar will be opened as we wait for that time to, as we wait for the appointed time. The second thing is there's a gift pack for each one of you, and you are kindly requested to move to the registration desk so that you can get your gift pack before you leave. Other than that, tea is served as well. And as we conclude, I would like to request that tomorrow we try and keep time. You can see the conversations are very interesting, but the time is really short. So may I request that tomorrow we try and keep time, we be engaged so that we can make the most of the opportunity that we have. It's sad to cut off a lot of interesting perspectives or conversations, but I hope that tomorrow we will all be at hand to also participate in the very interesting session and presentations that we have. Otherwise, I request you to appreciate the panelists with a round of applause. Our moderator, Yaovi. And of course, our interpreters who are doing good work remotely. And the technical team at the back, which has made sure that we have worked seamlessly and flawlessly. So please move to the registration desk to get your gift pack and make sure no one collects for you, for your own security. And see you at the dinner later on in the evening. Thank you.
Recording stopped.